Hey, what's up everybody? Leroy from Noisegate here, and in this video we're going to take a look at Modal's Cobalt5S. So the Modal Cobalt5S, it is a slimmed down mini key version of this guy here, the Modal Cobalt 8, which is an 8-voice virtual analog polyphonic synthesizer. And you can see that they kind of share a lot of the same similar design aesthetics as far as the blue chassis and the same kind of design with the pots and everything else and the buttons. However, this is the mini version of that, and it's a 5-voice polyphonic synthesizer. So virtual analog polyphonic synthesizer. What does that even mean? Well, it means it uses a digital sound engine to emulate analog waveforms, but it applies these algorithms per oscillator to really mangle and morph the waveforms to create really unique and interesting harmonics for the sound. So as you can hear, it sounds really thick and rich and quite amazing. I've really been enjoying Modal's synthesizers, particularly since the Argon and the Cobalt range. I really feel like they've kind of found their own identity within their sound. What does that even mean? Well, they're employing a digital emulation of analog waveforms to create a unique sound. However, it's not trying to sound like the usual suspects, a Juno pad or a Prophet lead or a Moog bassline. They've kind of found those foundations and really built upon it using their digital sound engine to emulate something that sounds something completely new and unique. Alright, so let's just take a look at what's going on here. So we've got 5 voices of polyphony, true polyphony, which is amazing. We've got 2 independent algorithm groups, and these stack up to 8 oscillators per voice. So it's a really powerful synth. It's armed with an enormous palette of sounds. We have a touchpad here, which is an XYZ pad, which sort of replaces the joystick on the Cobalt 8. I really like this because it's pressure sensitive, so it will respond to the pressure of my finger, and I can use this as a modulation source to modulate any of the parameters on the synthesizer. Say for instance, I wanted to use the pressure of the Z parameter to modulate the filter, or modulate the mix of the oscillator. I can do that simply by holding the mod button and assigning it via the mod matrix, which is something that I find really cool and really expressive. The keys themselves, they feature aftertouch, and they also respond to MPE, which is MIDI polyphonic expression. So something of this form factor and this size within this price range featuring those features is something that's also really, really nice. We have 3 envelopes here as well. We've got the filter, amp, and modulation envelopes. So these give you, a lot of unrestricted access to, fine-tuning your sound. And there's also polyphonic LFO and a global LFO over here. Sequencer-wise, we've got a 512-step sequencer. So it's a real-time step sequencer, and it also has 4 automation lanes. So we can really create unique, dynamic, interesting sequences as well. If you're finding that there's not enough buttons to access all of the parameters, which is probably one of the things that my mind first went to when I got it, you can use the Modal app, which is an application that you can download for free via Modal's website, and this gives you the ability to plug it in to your computer and access all of the parameters via the screen there as well. So this is really cool if you want to kind of dive deep into the synth, develop your own patch, then save it directly to the internal memory here, and then recall that whenever you want. And speaking of patches, there's 200 patches, and I can't remember how many patches there are that you can save, but probably at least 100. All right, so let's take another listen. So there's not a lot of synthesizers that feature 5 voices of polyphony that kind of sit within this kind of product range. I'd probably say something like Arturia's Micro Freak or Korg's Minilogue XD would probably be synthesizers that would fit sort of around this category. However, this has 5 voices of polyphony, and the price point of this is probably somewhere nestled nicely in between. I kind of really love MIDI key synthesizers. Not being much of a keyboard player myself, I can get around MIDI keys much easier than I can full-size keys. Besides, with the kind of music that I make, I often use sequences to sequence them anyway. So I'm kind of more or less just utilizing it for the sound engine. However, for someone who's looking for their first synthesizer, this is certainly something that will appeal to them. It covers a wide range of sounds, bass, pads, leads, and effects. Plus anyone who's probably more experienced and just kind of after the designs, the price point makes that really attractive, and still you could just plug in a MIDI controller to be able to control it with full-size keys anyway. So all in all, it's a great sounding synthesizer. The sound engine alone is absolutely worth the price point, plus all the modulation capabilities, the effects, the sequencer, and all the connections that you need on the back, plus the form factor as well, makes it a super attractive little 5-voice polysynth. Oh, and before I forget, it's actually bus powered, which means it can be plugged into a USB wall wart to your power socket, or you could have it plugged into a USB power bank to make it even more mobile. That's it from me. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure if you have any questions to put them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.